Not all of you, but many of you feel like traveling with food allergies is daunting and hard because you probably just don't know where to start. Well, you may or may not know that we've traveled extensively around the world with food allergies. We've been all over Canada, the US, to the Bahamas, Mexico, Ireland, Spain, the UK, Italy, France, and Portugal. For the record, we've also been to Disney World and land many times. Now, I'm not telling you this to brag, but instead, what I want you to know is that I have a lot of experience traveling with food allergies. I want you to know that what I teach comes from a place of experience and practical knowledge, and I'm not guessing. Today, I'm sharing 5 types of food allergy travel and their pros and cons when it comes to food allergies so that you can decide what might work best for your family. Let's get to it. Hey, food allergy mama. If you're here, you've likely experienced the scary and lonely food allergy diagnosis with your child. Unfortunately, food allergy parents aren't taught how to navigate the food allergy lifestyle, and it's easy to feel alone and discouraged sometimes. But I'm here to show you that food allergy life doesn't have to feel restrictive, scary, or isolated. I'm Corinna, and I'm a 17-year food allergy mom and food allergy coach at Friendly Pantry Consulting. I specialize in making food allergy life safer and less worrisome for food allergy families like yours. I'm not perfect, but over 17 years, I've learned a lot the hard way, and I'm sharing the secrets and resources you won't hear anywhere else that will help you feel confident living with food allergies faster and easier than I did. From introducing allergens, travel, navigating school, and educating friends and family, this podcast will give you the essential tips and strategies you need to help your food allergy child and family thrive. Welcome to the show. Okay, so let's get right into this. The first thing I want to talk about are all-inclusives and ocean or river cruises. I put these two together into a category because they both provide all of the food while you're on the trip, and you don't usually eat anywhere else. I mean, if you go on an excursion, yes, you would have to eat at a different place when you're off property or off the ship, but for the most part, when you're on property or on the ship, you are eating the food that they are providing. When we went on both of our cruises, one was a river cruise and one was an ocean cruise, we had a main server who was assigned to us for the whole time. Now, this was great because they would remember us and our allergies after a couple of times, and we wouldn't have to explain it so much. They would just remember. That said, I have to say on the ocean cruise, I was definitely glad that our backup server, the helper server, wasn't our main server because he just didn't seem to get allergies as much as our main server. So I would not have had the confidence in our food had it been our secondary server that was our main server. So that was kind of our saving grace there. So a couple of things to remember about this type of travel is that you're definitely going to have to probably fly to the port or the destination. So if you've never flown before, you'll want to check out some strategies to make flying safer and less stressful. When you are on a cruise or at an all-inclusive, on cruises and at all-inclusives, you need to remember that buffets are very common. So even if you can handle traces of allergens, it is risky to eat from a buffet where foods can drop into other foods and the chance of cross-contact is high. So if you choose this type of travel, I recommend that you check with them and make sure that you're going to be able to get meals made in the back so that you don't have to be using those buffets. And when it comes to this kind of travel, you're really going to want to be fully confident in the provider before you go because it's difficult to get and cook food other than what they provide. So if you get there and you're really not feeling confident, that can kind of make or break your trip because you're just not going to feel good anytime that you eat, and it's going to be very stressful. So always check and feel fully good about the provider before you go on a trip like this. Consider when you want to leave the cruise ship or the all-inclusive resort if you're planning on doing excursions, because you will have to figure out this food situation that you're going to do when you're at the ports or off the property. I've heard that some can provide you with food, like a little to-go lunch, but this is really dependent on which countries you're going to and what the rules are, because for our cruise, they were very strict and you were not able to take anything that was not packaged in a sealed package off the ship. So you had to be really, really careful because they did check for that when you left the ship. One of the big upsides to this kind of travel is that you don't have to cook and you can actually take a break from it. But remember that even so, if you're not the cook, you still have to talk about allergies at every meal and ensure you're getting the right food. So even if that waiter or waitress remembers you from the last time, each time they bring you the food, it's so important that you check to make sure they gave you the right allergy food. Another point to make about this type of travel is the accessibility to quality medical care. So sometimes it is close to medical care or a hospital. Sometimes these places, if it's a ship, of course, you're going to be out in the middle of the sea. They do often have some kind of, basic medical care available on site, either at the accommodation if you're at an all-inclusive or on the ship. So double check this and make sure that it's something that works for your family. Some examples where we did this type of travel was on a Mediterranean cruise, an ocean cruise, and the Seine River cruise in France. Okay, so the next one is a beach vacation. And by a beach vacation, I'm meaning like a resort with a kitchen where you have access to a kitchen, or if you book an Airbnb. And again, you're going to need to fly to this destination, but there's always strategies that can make this safer and less stressful if that makes you nervous. But when you're at this beach vacation, you can usually choose to cook or you can go to restaurants. And this means that you have a lot of control over your food. You're not just stuck with one provider that you're not sure of. So it's going to give you a lot of control and maybe a little bit more comfort as well. But again, because you are cooking, you're not going to get that break from cooking. But I have to say that there are definitely strategies to make cooking on vacation easier and less work. So there are ways to make that something that's more doable. Another thing about these vacations are that they may be lower cost because you are actually buying and cooking some or all of the food at grocery stores instead of going to restaurants or paying an all-inclusive the whole time to provide your food. As a food allergy family, you will need to pack food from home, and I know this can feel overwhelming, but there's lots of strategies to make it so much easier. And another thing is that you can mix in a few restaurant meals, and this will depend on your comfort level and ability to find allergy-friendly restaurants. But figuring out if a restaurant is allergy-friendly isn't as hard if you know the steps. So there are strategies and steps that make this a lot less stressful and easier when you're on vacation. And the last thing to consider is, yes, the accommodation may be away from quality medical help. It really depends on where you are. So you will want to, again, look at that and see if the accommodation has some basic medical help available. Now, some of our favorite family vacations have been where we did this kind of trip. And examples were when we went to Puerto Vallarta, Mexico, when we went to Maui and Ko'olina in Hawaii, and we went to Nassau, Bahamas. Okay, I'm going to talk about my least favorite type of trip next, and that is a camping or wilderness trip. It's not because of food allergies, but honestly because I'm not a really outdoorsy person. But of course, I know a lot of you are, so definitely consider this option if that's you. Some of the things to consider about camping with food allergies is that, okay, you're going to have to drive to this location. You're going to have to pack all those foods that you need to bring, and you're going to have to cook most of your food over a campfire once you're there. Again, there are strategies that can make this simple and easy, but you have to consider that as part of the trip. One of the huge benefits of camping is that it's actually lower cost than a lot of the other family vacations. So we really did do quite a few camping vacations when my kids were little, and we just wanted that lower cost getaway that we could do with our kids. And again, as I mentioned, you're going to have to pack your food. There's not going to be probably a lot of options to buy your food or go to a restaurant because you're not going to find those allergy-friendly aware places. And yeah, that can feel overwhelming, but I have strategies that can make it easier. Again, you could be far from medical help. It doesn't have to be this way. It depends on where your destination is or where your campground is. But if this is something that worries you, then you'll want to find something or look for something that's closer to medical help. Okay, let's move on to allergy travel type number 4, and this is a city destination. City destinations can be part of a road trip, or they can be tacked on to parts of other vacations. So let's say you're taking a cruise and you want to do a city destination trip at the beginning or end of your cruise. That is what I mean by a city destination. So what I would recommend if you are going to add on a city destination to a cruise is to do it before the cruise, not after. The reason why I say this is that we decided to stay in Barcelona, Spain for 5 days after our Mediterranean cruise. And although we had a great time, we loved going to Barcelona. It was awesome and fun and really interesting city to go to. The part that was really hard was going from a cruise where they're catering to you, they're pampering you, they're giving you all of the food, and then you're going to a city where you're having to find your own safe food again, and you're having to figure it all out on your own. You're not as pampered anymore. It's kind of hard to take. So I would definitely say do it first, then do your cruise after. Other considerations for this type of travel, again, is that you're going to need to fly to the destination. But of course, if you're close enough to the city, you can drive. So that will work too. You can make this a single city or combine it into a road trip, like I already mentioned. And you can do a combo of cooking for yourself and restaurant meals. So when we went to quite a few places like London and to Paris, we actually got accommodations with kitchens, and that helped us to be able to spend some time cooking so that we didn't have to eat out quite as much when we weren't confident with it, and we also saved some money that way. It's usually easier to find restaurants that are allergy friendly in a city because there's usually more choice, and if you are taking the time to do it, you will likely find something that's going to work for your allergies. And if you are cooking for yourself, you will need to pack some food, and you're going to likely have to navigate a new grocery store. And I know that can be really overwhelming. It can also take lots of time and effort. But again, there are strategies that can make that a lot quicker and easier. Just like some of the other ones, you have to consider medical care. And in a city, it's usually not too hard to find a hospital that is nearby. So that's one of the benefits of this type of travel. City destinations is also one of our favorite types of allergy travel. And we've done this in London, Paris, Barcelona, Toronto, Niagara Falls, Ottawa, Vancouver, and Banff and Canmore. You're going to start thinking that I say this about all of the vacations, but my next one is another one of our favorites, and it's actually going to Disney World or Disneyland. And we love doing this trip because, I don't know, we just love something about the Disney bubble. We feel like it's just such a easy place to be and just love the vibes that we get when we go there. And some of the considerations for Disney World or Disneyland is unless you're living close, you're definitely going to have to fly there. They're also known for good overall allergy procedures, but you need to know that they do make mistakes, and it's important to do your research and be on your guard. I think that some people just feel like they can go there and not think about allergies, but no company and no person is perfect, so we always need to keep on our guard no matter where we're going. At Disney, there are allergy menus available at some restaurants, but not all of them, so you do need to do your research. And also, those allergy menus are really great when you have maybe just one allergy, possibly two, but if you get to multiple allergies, those menus actually are not that helpful at all. I actually have a podcast episode that I did about this that I will link to the show notes so that you can get a little more detail about Disney if you are interested in it. But you need to know that if you cannot tolerate may contains or traces of allergens, you actually have to talk to a cast member at every meal, even at quick service. And there are only some restaurants and snacks that have allergy menus or allergy options. And it can be really difficult to sort through and find those safe food available. So purchasing a food allergy guide can make it much easier and quicker. The nice thing about Disney is that you can actually bring food into the park, and we usually brought snacks with us every day. There was a time though that we didn't actually realize how hungry we would be because we were expending so much energy walking. We used up our snacks much quicker than we thought, and it was, I think, mid-morning, something like that. And there's not a lot of safe snacks in the parks, especially little ones that are a little bit more nutritious. So luckily we grabbed our food allergy guide, which helped us to find that best option, which actually happened to be a smoothie, which we grabbed, and we were able to continue on with our day. Of course, one of the problems with Disney is that it is expensive, but you can get accommodations with kitchens. So not only can you save some money, but you're going to be able to make those allergy-friendly meals as well. And of course, you'll be able to get quality medical help if needed when you're in the Disney area. So examples where we did this was Beach Club Resort. We've stayed at Wilderness Club Resort at Disney World, and we've also stayed at Marriott Resort in Florida, California Adventure, and California Embassy Suites in Anaheim. All right, on to the last type of allergy travel, and that is group tours. Now, if you're doing a group tour, it can feel a little bit scary because you're going to have to travel on a plane, and you're going to have to kind of build up your courage a little bit, because in this option, there's going to be surroundings changing, restaurants are going to be changing, and you're always going to be moving to the next location. It's also harder to control because you have to keep with this group. Even so, if you have a good tour company, they're actually going to help you to advocate, and they'll also help you to translate if you're going to a non-English country. I found this really, really helpful on all of our group tours. It's important to ensure that your tour guide is well aware of what you need before the tour starts and upon that initial meeting when you meet them at the beginning. You may also actually need to advocate a little bit as you're going through the tour. An example of this was last summer we went to Portugal on a group tour, and our tour guide was really amazing. She explained what we needed to every single restaurant in Portuguese, and it was great. But there was a problem. The thing was that she didn't really follow up with the restaurant when we were getting our meals. So for example, when the food came to us, it wasn't marked as allergy friendly, and we didn't have that confirmation of somebody saying, this is your peanut-free, tree-nut-free, and gluten-free meal. They just gave it to us. And honestly, that is not a great way to deliver allergy meals. So we did have to have a conversation, and of course they're very helpful and kind and they take it well, but it is a little bit awkward. So that's something to keep in mind for this type of travel. It's going to be more costly because likely you will need to do a higher end tour because you really want someone that is going to listen to you and really want to help with your needs and advocate for you. Another thing about the higher end tours is that they're going to be usually booked with higher end accommodations. And higher end accommodations usually mean that there's going to be a higher end restaurant in those accommodations. We have found for the most part that higher end restaurants are usually more educated about food allergies, and we feel a little bit more confident, especially if we're in a non-English country or somewhere far from home, to go to those higher end restaurants because they're going to understand what is needed and required for food allergy safety. I mean, it's not always the case, but this has kind of been what we've found on some of our trips. So in these group tours, it may be easier or hard to access quality medical help. It just depends on where you are. Some of the places we've traveled to with a group tour is Ireland, Spain, and Portugal. And honestly, this is again one of my favorite ways to experience different countries because it does give you that extra bit of help with advocating. As long as you can get the right kind of help from your tour guide, it really helps you to feel confident and enjoy some of those more exotic destinations. So which vacation is right for your food allergy family? I would love to know. Just send me a quick message on Instagram at Friendly Pantry. If you have questions about any of these options or about food allergy travel in general, I can help. With my food allergy travel workshop, I'll take you by the hand and lead you step by step and teach you the strategies and tips I've learned through our travel experiences. I want you to feel fully confident so you can have a safe and fun family vacation with food allergies without stressing the whole time. You don't have to do it alone. Before you go, Mama, if you love this episode and want deeper support, head over to friendlypantry.com to see how we can partner together to keep your food allergy child safer and worry less. There's no need for wasting time searching all over Instagram, TikTok, and the web to get the practical knowledge you need for your family. While you're there, grab your free Food Allergy Kids Empowerment Guide or the newly diagnosed checklist today. Topics are not medical advice and are the opinions, views, and property of Friendly Pantry Consulting Incorporated. All rights reserved. Always contact your board-certified allergist, immunologist for health advice.